Button. And my name is Garrison Gilbert. We are multifamily masters. I have my business partner, Miss Elsa Nguyen, and myself. We're going to get in here this evening. We do this once a month, generally speaking. I skipped the last 2 months. We're going to start getting a little bit more consistent with our multifamily master lives. We're going to start doing it every 2 weeks. We're going to bring up kind of like a fireside chat a little bit. We normally dig deep, break down, or bring on a panel and really discuss multifamily real estate, syndications, commercial real estate, what this business really looks like, what the gurus don't necessarily teach you. It's not just all about the fluff and the good stuff. We really try to break down the real part of real estate. And this is real. This is real money. And a lot of people in 2024 are starting to see that, are starting to experience that. For the last 8-10 years, everybody who bought stuff looked like an absolute rock star. 2024, slightly different ball game. There's a lot of opportunity if you know how to navigate the waters per se. And tonight we're going to break down assisted living. We're going to talk about big picture, why assisted living, number one, and then we're going to break down how assisted living, what does it look like? We're going to talk about not only the real estate portion of it, but also the business portion of it. And we're going to refer back to a 44-bed facility that we have under contract right now that we will be closing in a couple weeks. It's a $5 million asset. Right now, I am sitting in another $5 million asset. We have a 30-bed facility that in Fresno, California, that is located about 15 minutes from the other facility that we're getting ready to purchase. We're focused on assisted living, large part because of the supply and demand matrix. Not a lot of supply, a huge demand. I know a lot of other people from the multifamily world want to start focusing in on assisted living. So we're going to kind of talk about tonight what that really looks like, what that transition is going to look like. I bought my first assisted living facility. It's funny, a Facebook post just popped up like in my memories from 6 or 7 years ago. I bought a 54, 56 bed facility, absolutely stole it because the owners were facing prosecution from the state for neglecting their tenants. We stole it for literally pennies on the dollar. They needed to sell it within 30 days or the owner was going to jail for neglecting tenants. The property was filled with bed bugs, excuse me. It was located very close to Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. We eventually then ended up turning that facility into a apartment complex, apartment building further down the road. But that's kind of what got me interested in the assisted living facility space. And tonight we're really going to break it down and kind of give you not only an airplane view, but we're going to dig a little bit deep into this asset class. So I will introduce my partner, then I will let her introduce herself. We are Invest Now Capital. We buy real estate, we own real estate, we operate real estate. We've purchased approximately $50 million worth of apartment buildings and apartment complexes. Over the last 18 months alone, I've been buying real estate full-time, never had a W-2 job since I got out of college, way back in 2002, I guess it was. So roughly 20 years ago, I got into this space because I couldn't find a W-2 job I liked. I kept coming home after the bars and after the clubs, being a 21, 22-year-old kid and seeing these infomercials, buy real estate, no money down, get rich, real estate. And kind of made it happen, went out, read every real estate book I could read, learned this business by doing this business. That was before Facebook groups. That was before meetups. That was before local networking opportunities. So I kind of went out and forged my own way and made it happen. Elsa has a really good real estate story as well. I will go ahead and let her introduce herself, and then we'll get started on tonight's presentation, which is all about assisted living facilities. And this is a group interaction. Anyone who is watching this, feel free to speak up. Feel free to drop a couple questions in the comments below. The way that this typically works is we'll go through our presentation for the first 30, 45 minutes. We'll open it up to Q&A. We'll create a networking opportunity so you can network with other individuals, because commercial real estate and multifamily masters was founded on and based upon networking. You are who you hang out with. This is a team sport. I use the word sport because it takes a team to operate $50 to $100 million worth of real estate. It takes a team to operate a 50, 75, 150 unit apartment complex. You really want to surround yourself with good people. You really want to surround yourself with like-minded people. You really want to surround yourself with problem solvers, creative problem solvers, and just all around good people who have similar goals as yourself. Miss Elsa, go ahead, introduce yourself, and let's get this party started, everybody. I appreciate everybody hopping in here.
That's good. Thank you, Garrison. So I started doing real estate full time since 2016. Prior to that, I worked in the full corporate world, and I was a financial controller. I did some HR work, but it wasn't something that I longed to wake up every day to do. So I knew that I'm called to do something, just be an entrepreneur. And I found real estate, and I love real estate. So we together, between Garrison and myself, we have worked together for since 2020. And as he mentioned, we have roughly um, 40 plus million dollars assets under management right now. We have bought anything from apartment buildings to land development, and currently we are buying assisted living facilities because of the demand. There's very strong demand for this sector right now. So that's a little bit about me. And if nobody has any question, we can just dive right into the presentation tonight.
Go ahead and hit it. Elsa, you want to go ahead and maximize your screen?
I am sharing this. Are you able to see you're able to see my thing, right?
Yeah, we can see it, but go ahead and maximize it. I don't want to see the slides on the side if you could.
Okay, so that means I need to do a slideshow.
Yep.
Slideshow from the beginning. Is it maximized now?
Go ahead.
So it looks good?
Yep, hit us. Go ahead.
All right, good. So I'm just gonna go right into it because we don't have a lot of time. So why did we choose to do assisted living investment? And as most of us know, this assisted living investment in general produce a much higher ROI than other commercial real estate investment. We usually trade this thing around 10 to 12% cap. And we are also looking at an average of studies shown that the average return for assisted living investment is right around 10.52% versus around 6.1% for commercial real estate. So it's a no-brainer that we want to get into this business because of the higher return on investment. And then we all know of the growing demand for this investment product because of the population, not just in the U.S., but also in other countries. But we want to focus in the U.S. Just for now. And studies showing that the baby boomer generation, 20% of the U.S. population will be 65 years or older by 2030. And we're looking roughly at about 78 million people. And of that, 19 of them are 80 years and older. And about 7% of those, 20% of that $7-8 million will need personal assistant because of their age. And this is why it's such a desirable investment product for us to get in, because the demand is so great, but the supplies is very little. Part of that is, I think, we're just not building enough units to meet the demands. So as you can see, that number I pull right out of the National Investment Center study, there's a need of 156,000 additional units by 2025, to 550 by 2028, and 800 by 2030 for those 80 years and older. And we're right now only, according to NIC, there's only about 20,000 units under construction per year. So you can see here there's a huge gap. And this is one of the reasons why we want to get into this business, because there's a huge demand in this sector.
Huge demand, low supply equals good profit margins.
All right, so that's the next one. Okay, and some other reason why, beside the demand, is that this assisted living, Garrison mentioned there is a business component as well as the real estate component to this business. And so when we buy when you invest in an assisted living facility, you are able to have all the benefits as if you were to invest in multifamily as well. So some of those benefits include an appreciation, right? So you still can find value add properties out there that give you the ability to increase the net income so that you can force appreciate the property. So for example, if you buy in something that is producing $600,000 net income per year, and you can increase that to $1 million, you take $1 million net income divided by the cap rate of, let's say, 10%, you can significantly increase the values of that property by about $4 million. So that's the appreciation aspect of that. And then the tax benefits. So we still can depreciate the real estate piece of the property. So the property, for example, the property that we're under contract right now, we are under contract for $4.7 million. The appraisal came back on the real estate piece is 4.4. So with that 4.4 value assigned to the real estate portion, we can do a cost segregation study, and then we can depreciate. We can do the bonus depreciation for this year is I believe you can claim up to 60%. It's still good. So there's that tax benefits of the depreciation. And then of course, most of the people who get into this business is not a short-term investment. It's rather a long-term investment. So you will have long-term capital gains, which is the IRS treated with a slightly lower tax bracket than a short-term gain. And we also have the benefits of a recession resistant because of this is a needs business, not a wants business. People get old, they need help. And so it doesn't matter if the economy, slow down, this service are still needed. And this is why it's recession resistant. Also, that is actually cheaper for somebody to be in a care home, paying $4,000 or $5,000 a month than to hire a personal caregiver to be in their house to take care of them. That would cost them $50,000-$60,000 a year just to hire a personal assistant. And then on top of that, they have to pay for their own mortgage and cost of living. But with that $50,000-$60,000, they can go into an assisted living facility and live there, and they could save a significant amount of money. And that is why when it's a recession, it's actually the demand for this is actually stronger as well. And then, as we know, we have the stability of income because when you have the renter in your when you have all this resident in your facility, there is that stability of income coming every month. So it's very predictable knowing that what kind of income you're getting in every month. And then, last but not least, there's the socially impactful. You're making a difference in the life of the people, right? So you're here having a facility, you can design it however you want. You can take care of the people, you can love on them, and you are making an impact, at the last chapter of their life. So it's a very meaningful business to get into if you do it right.
So benefits just like multifamily real estate, you got the appreciation play, you have the tax benefits. You also have the benefits of taking care of people and looking after our older generation, which is a really good thing. For example, the assisted living facility that we have under contract right now, it's a 44-bed facility. That current owner's operated it for decades, right? And she's been operating it for decades at 70% occupancy. And she's been doing that because that's her comfort level. A lot of people in this space and a lot of people that we buy these assisted living facilities from, they come from a nursing background. They come from a I love everybody background, not necessarily a business background. So there's a lot of value add components. On this particular facility, we will take it from 70% occupancy up to about 92 to 94% occupancy. And we will raise the valuation on the beds from what she's getting today to about $2,500 more per bed, because we will implement government programs and whatnot. And this business, just like multifamily, revolves around what the numbers say. The evaluation is all about the numbers. It's a business. So that's the value add component of assisted living, which makes this a really interesting business model and very well in line with multifamily real estate. Go ahead, Elsa.
Okay. I think I didn't skip a slide. Yes. Okay. Perfect. There are different, before we dive into the due diligence, we just need to, I just want to clarify the different type of a senior living category, because there are some people who doesn't understand. There's independent living, there's assisted living. Independent living is somebody who is maybe in their 60s, maybe 70s. They still pretty much can take care of themselves. They needs very minimal help. Maybe they may want to help with somebody cook for them, but for the most part, they are pretty independent. They can take care of themselves and doesn't need a lot of help. So that's the independent living. We have the assisted living, which is the next level up. The folks who stay in assisted living, for the most part, they could be independent too, but a lot of them may need help with reminding them to take their medicine. They may need help with food. They may need help with bathing, grooming. So just basics, caregiving, personal caregiving that we would be providing for these folks. And then a step up would be memory care. There's some people who starting to forget. They are dementia care residents, and they may, some people may forget a little, some people may forget a lot. So there's different level of cares here. So that's memory care. And then the skilled nursing homes are the one who is, these folks who stay in the skilled nursing homes are, they will be supervised by a nurse. There will be nurses that work in there. They will be more supervised than if they were to be in a memory care or assisted living care. And for the purpose of this presentation, we are focusing more on between the independent living, assisted living, and memory care than a skilled nursing home. So those are the 4 categories. And then before we get into the due diligence part, the first thing that you want to remember is to think about there are different sizes when it comes to assisted living. And I stole this one from the internet, but you could see right here, there are 4 sizes. We got small, medium, large, and extra large, okay? So the small ones, which is about 4 to 10 beds, these folks operate that from a resident, like from their own, from a residential facility. So it could be a house that they turn into an assisted living facility. They can only host anything from 4 to 10 people because it's residential zoning. And that's make up a large portion of the assisted living communities out there. Is 43% are small, 14% of them are medium size, which is from 11 to 25 beds. 33% of them are on a larger scale, which is 26 to 100 beds. And then the extra large made up about 10%. And those guys, you probably hear them, Sunrise, Brookdale, these are huge facilities. And as you can see right here, I believe this study was done in 2023. The total licensed units currently is only $1.2 million. And if you remember the first slide that I showed you, there's about 8 million people that really need personal care right now. So we're far behind, and this is create a huge demand for this business sector. And before now let's say you want to get into this business. Now you know the size, the different size of the facility. You may have a house that you want to turn into an assisted living facility, or you say, hey, you know what, I want to buy something bigger. I don't want to do it in my house. Since I'm going to do this anyway, I may want to focus on 20 beds, 30 beds, 40 beds. It's all up to you. It's something that you need to think it through before you go ahead and do deeper research. For our company, Investment Capital, we choose to focus on the large side, which is 26 to 100 beds, because we feel that this will give us the ability to keep an eye on the facility. We have management company that runs it, but if we need to, I can step in, Garrison can step in and take over if we need to. And we choose to focus on a facility that's closer to us, so then we have more of a control over the operation. And that is our business goal. That's what we focus on. But I know folks out there want to do it, on a smaller scale. They don't want a JV, they don't want any investors or partners, and so they turn their home into a 6-bed facility, and they could run it on their own, and they comfortably make $6, $8, $10,000 a month, and they're happy with that. So that's something that you want to think about is, which of this one that I want to get into, okay?
And right now with the facilities that we're in, our goal is to provide a really awesome place to live. Well, I don't want a nursing home type of feel. I don't want a hospital type of feel. I've gone out and I've mystery shopped over 100 properties over the last 12 to 18 months. A lot of them you walk in and you want to walk right back out the door. A lot of them smell like urine. A lot of them have that hospital vibe to them. We try to create environments that we would want to live in, that I would want my mother living in, that she would want her parents living in, things of that sort. Because yes, it's business is all about the numbers, but we're doing a really good service for society. We're doing a really good service for the community. And we really want to create that. And the reason we focus on the large size, which is, I forget what the numbers were, but less than 100 beds, is because all of our places feel like home. It's a place that I would not have any problem whatsoever waking up in. Go ahead, Elsa.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now that you figure out what you want to do, which size that you want to invest in, then from there you need to think about how you're gonna go about doing this, right? So you got to think about if you want to run this do you have the time and the mean to run this business on your own, so that make you an active investors? Or you could if you want to invest in a larger facility, but you don't have the time to do this as an owner, so you may want to consider investing as a passive investor. So you come in as a limited partner and invest in a larger facility. So that's something that you may want to think through as well. And then the next step would be, okay, so now let's say I want to open this 30-bed facility. Am I going to manage this facility as an owner, or do I hire a management company to run this facility with me? And if you are going to hire a management company, then I would suggest that you start doing some research on different management companies out there. I've interviewed 2 or 3 of them before I decided to work with this one company that we decided to work with. So those are the homework that you need to do prior to go out and make an offer. Okay, and then you need to do some research. So you could, I live here in California. I want to invest in California. I want to invest in a large size, something, not more than 6 hours from where I live, because I can jump in my car and drive there and take over the facility if I need to. And then for us, we also want to work with a program called Medi-Cal program. It's called Assisted Living Waiver. So what I do is that I do a research on which county or which city in the state of California would support that program. not all of them, not all counties or city would have that. So that's another research that you need to do. You need to think it through where, when, and where to invest. And there's an E right there. Where, when to invest, where to invest. And once you have that kind of narrowed down, then you can start doing some feasibility study on that particular market, right? I know somebody who lived in California. He did a bunch of research and he decided Austin was the market for him. And he flew there 3 weekends in a row and he started to go secret shopping of every single facility near the Austin area. And he found a town that he decided to invest in because the number of the older people that he run into when he was at the market. So again, this is, you're gonna have to do you have to spend some time to research the market that you want to get into, the demographic. You want to look at the income level. This is a poor area. This is a rich area. What is the average age of the population over there? I would recommend, it's going to be really hard for you to find a city where the majority of the people are 80 years or older. You probably want to find a city where people are in the age between maybe 45 to 60, maybe 65, because these are the people who have older parents that they need to place into a facility, and they want to be close to their parents. So it is critical that you need to do a research of that age group. If you want to target 80 years or older resident, then maybe look for a market, a demographic that have that age group between, I would say, 45 to 65. And then look at the income level. Let's think about how much you want to charge them. Let's say if your target price range is $8,000 a month, then you don't want to go into a low income market, right? You want to go into a higher income market just so then you can, the people who live there willing to pay that $8,000, $10,000 a month per bed. And then the next thing that I would do is look at the competition. So this facility, once you can go online and do a research online, and then you can get a list of other facilities in that particular market. I would do, so before Garrison and I got into the Fresno market, I ran a list from the state to see which facility provide ALW and non-ALW. And then I have a list of about 100 of them when we started to do secret shopping. So, but when him and we went to, I can't remember how many, 10, 15 of them. We pretend that we're there to look for a facility for our parents. And basically what we wanted to see is what kind of, how much money they charge, what kind of, how does that facility look like in general, what kind of activities they offer there, the level of care, so on and so forth, just so that we have an idea. And then some of them are, a lot of them are fully, they all have a wait list for the new resident, but they're still willing to see us even though they don't have any room. And I thought that was really nice. Some people didn't even answer the call when we called them, right? So we learn from what works for this market and what not work for that market. And then you also want to check out their website, their Facebook page to see how they market their facility as well. So that feasibility study is very critical before you decide where to invest, who to invest with, the competition, the demands. You're gonna have to spend some time on the computer to do this and then start to do secret shopping once you identify the market that you want to get into.
Learn your market, learn your market, learn your market.
And then after that, look into different financing options. Typically, it's a little bit more challenging to get financing for assisted living. So I've learned that, the easiest is probably either a bank, go to a local bank, or SBA loan. SBA, typically, they will finance, they will give you the most money that you need because they finance both the business as well as the real estate side. And for the and they may go up to, depend on your experience level, they may go up to 80, 85, sometimes even 90% of the loan amount that you need. So you probably just need to come in with very, very little money. The downside with SBA, because this is a government loan, so it is a little bit more difficult to get. They'll ask for a lot of information. The interest rate is very high. Usually it's prime plus 2%, and that will adjust quarterly. So you have to factor that into the to your projection. They also charge a pretty high point, about 3%. Whereas with a bank, you go to a bank, they will give you less money, but the interest rate is also a lot lower, and they probably charge you 1 point to get the deal done. So those are the things that you want to look into. You may want to talk to 2, 3, 4 different banks, just so then you know what your options are, because anything could go. You just never know. You may work with a lender and it may not work out the way that you think. So that's something to definitely to look into once you start thinking about buying. Go out and network with brokers, with mortgage, with lenders, so then you know that once you have a deal under contract, you know who to go to. Business plan. So again, you're gonna have to build out your business plan. Let's say there's so many different options out there, right? You could either buy an existing facility, old facility. Like last week, we went to check out this facilities in Orange County, and they were completely beat up. So we know this is a value add. We need to put money into renovating the property, put in, and then we need to hire the staff, residents. So it's gonna cost a lot of money and time for us if we want to buy that. So that means you're gonna have to factor all that back into your purchase price. If you were to move forward with that, you have to build out that business plan on how you want to do that. Or if you want to, some people build it, they buy land and then they build their own facility. A lot of people do that. So then they can have a brand new facility. They design it the way that they want it. That could be another option, right? We did both. We were buying both value add, and we also did not ground up construction, but we bought an unfinished facility and we turned it into an assisted living facility. They both have their own headache, but they both have their own rewards. You would think about how you want to go about doing that. Or some people, they buy a house and they would lease the house out to somebody who wants to turn that into a facility, and they just become a landlord for that particular. And you can rent out your own house to the business. You can create an LLC to run the business yourself. So you rent the house that you own to the business that you also own. A lot of people actually do that, especially when they want to keep it small and they want to do it out from a residential facility rather than a commercial, because it's a lot easier to buy a house than to buy a bigger building, just because it costs, it's just a lot less headache, easier to buy a house. So those are the things that you definitely want to take into consideration before you even put it in an offer, okay? And let me see if I forget anything. And then a part of your business plan is your marketing plan, right? You have to think about, what is your occupancy goals, right? So like right now, the facility that we're buying, they are 70%, but my goal is to take that to 90%, right? So when I do my projection, I have that number in mind. 90% is my goal. We are 70% right now. So how do I take the number from here to there? And then the revenue aspect of that, as well as the expense that tied to it, because now you have more people. That means you need to hire more staff, you need to buy more food, you need to buy more supplies, so on and so forth. So you want to tie all of that together when you build out your 5, 7, or 10 years projection. Okay, Think about your marketing goals, like how are you going to market this place? How are you going to find residents? For us, we work with ALW, and that takes a year for us to get approved. So as soon as like for our property that were under construction, I didn't wait until I got licensed to apply for ALW. I started applying for that beginning of the year so that by the time I get licensed, I will also get the approval from ALW to put resident in there. So I saved myself a year. So those are the things that you need to plan in advance. If you are going to do private resident, you need to think about how to market, how to get tenants in there even before you complete construction or complete the purchase. So you need to start your marketing even before you close the deal. So then you have everything lined up. As soon as you take over, you have people that you can put in there right away. And then your revenue goals, right? Your staffing goal, your revenue goal, how much money you want to make, when you want to exit this property. So our goal is to maximize this one and we exit in year 7 or year 10. We refinance in year 3 when we are stabilized at about 85-90%. We will do a refinance cash out, return some of the capital back to the investors, and we just keep it cash flowing for another 5-7 years and we sell it. So you got to think through that exit strategy, how long you want to keep this thing, when you want to refinance and return the capital, so on and so forth. I know I went through it really fast. There's a lot to talk about, but we don't have a lot of time. So I am going to turn it over to Garrison, who will talk about what do we do once you have a property under the contract.
Go ahead and stop sharing your screen now. So I'll open it up as a gallery view.
Okay.
And in many ways, assisted living is very, very, very similar to multifamily. In many ways, it is night and day. Here, let me gallery view. Perfect. And really, the biggest difference, hold on here. Let me close the chat. The biggest difference in regards to multifamily versus assisted living is once you get a property under contract, you are not only buying the real estate. The real estate is a big portion of this, but you're also buying the business. And whenever you're buying that business, you really want to dig deep. You really want to know what you're getting into, what the details are, and you really got to dig through a lot of financials. You got to dig through a lot of licenses. You got to dig through a lot of insurances. You got to dig through a lot of bank accounts. So we're going to talk a little bit about, and let's see, I'm going to try to keep it to 15-20 minutes or so. I don't want to run this too much over an hour, but any questions that you have, feel free to pop it in the comments below. But let's break it down. You got the real estate due diligence and you got the business due diligence. Long story short, before we even started thinking about the real estate portion of this business, of this purchase, we spent 30 to 40 days digging into the business part of it. The LOI was accepted. The seller's attorney took a couple of weeks to get us a contract, even though we had an agreed upon LOI. Elsa and myself spent roughly $10,000 for our attorneys to review the contracts, and our attorneys are specifically assisted living attorneys, assisted living background. We wanted to know exactly what we were getting into. We wanted to know exactly what we were investing into, and $10,000 is a lot of money. We put $50,000 deposit down on a $5 million facility, 1%. And then we spent another $10,000 on attorneys. And the attorneys really left us know, hey, they're taking advantage of you here. Hey, they're being generous there. Hey, you need to think about this. Hey, you need to think about that. So that $10,000 was a very well spent investment. We then dug through the bank statements in regards to the real estate and in regards to the business. The financials, we hired a consultant to come in just to make sure that we had no stone that was left unturned. Hold on here. Let me mute someone here. So we really dug into both the real estate and the business. We dug through all the financials, all the bank statements. We made sure that bank statements added up to what the financials of this business said. And In this particular space, I mentioned earlier that a lot of these owners and operators that are running these existing facilities, they come from a nursing background, not a business background. So a problem that we had, not going to say well, kind of a problem, kind of not of a problem. But something that we ran into with this particular facility was the owner was running tons and tons and tons of personal expenses through this business. Multiple cars, fancy cars, Mercedes, BMWs, Teslas, things that weren't associated with this business realistically, but from an expense standpoint, she didn't want to pay income tax on the money that she made every year. So we had to dig through those. We had to dig through all the insurance policies. You have the business insurance, you have the real estate insurance, you have the E&O insurance, you have the workers' comp insurance. You dig through all of these types of things because you really want to understand the viability of this business. How strong is this business? What kind of claims have they had in this business? What kind of workman comp claims have they had in this space? You know, something you got to keep in mind is the hardest part of any business is the people part of this business. There are a lot of caregivers, there are a lot of nurses, there are a lot of historically Filipinos are a very big part of this business. And you have to understand how to nurture them, relate to them. You want to make sure that you're looking at whenever you're digging through those insurance policies, you want to make sure that you're really looking into seeing what workman comp claims were claimed. There are definitely going to be claims for the most part. Are they serious claims? Are they not so serious claims? Who filed those claims? Is it repetitive? Is it the same couple of individuals who keep filing? Because even though someone files a workman's comp claim, you can't just fire them. So what does that look like? Because that's going to affect not only the financials on this business, but moving forward, it could potentially affect the price that we pay for our insurance for the next several years. Something that we learned during this due diligence phase was if we go in and we buy an existing facility and they have just hypothetically 30 employees, if we keep 51% of those employees, we're subject to the insurance claims that they had on their workman's comp. If we keep 49% of those employees, potentially we can kind of erase all those workman comp claims, and that can reduce our insurance fees by quite a bit. Know your local rules and your local regulations. Some of the stuff that Elsa and I just described here is California specific because that is our focus in regards to assisted living. Every state is different. Number one, every county within the state is generally speaking different. Different rules, different regulations, different licensing guidelines, different inspections. You have to come with a DSS inspection, Department of Social Services. We just did a DSS inspection on the facility that I'm sitting at right now. And it's very, very, they go through and they look at all the food that you have on site. They temperature test all of the water faucets in every bathroom. They want to check and see how warm or how cold the refrigerator is, how cold the freezer is. What kind of food do you have in place? What do your meal plans look like for the next 30 days? If you look in the background here, I don't know if you can see it, they check to see how many puzzles, how many games, how many coloring books, how many different activities do we have lined up. They checked our activity schedule. What do we have planned for our residents for the next 30 days, 60 days? They don't want someone coming in and owning and operating a facility and, hey, we're going to give you Hot Pockets to eat and you're going to sit in front of the TV all day and kind of live out the last several years of your life being a vegetable in front of a television. They want to make sure that you're providing a healthy environment. On top of that, we had fire inspections. They check all the doors, they check all the windows, they check all the buzzers to let you in and out of the gates. They check all the locks on all the gates. They check all the sidewalks. They check egress. How high are the curbs going in and out of your front and back doors? And they come around and the fire does their inspection once a year. DSS does their inspection once a year, but also they can randomly come in this facility at any given time. I got a call on my cell phone 2 mornings ago randomly from what is called, actually, I don't know the official name of them, but it's kind of like the assisted living police, where they just wanted to randomly come in this facility. and check everything out. And I was not on site, I was not available, but this particular facility was vacant, so they didn't have a problem with it. But if it was not vacant, you have to let them in and they will randomly show up and they'll randomly spend several hours at that facility. Um, we brought in a consulting company with a ton of experience who have operated thousands of beds in the past. They helped us do due diligence. We still did our own due diligence, but they double checked and verified everything. Then we got to look over all their numbers and see exactly how they do it, just because we wanted to make sure that all of our T's were crossed, all of our I's were dotted. And while you're doing this whole due diligence process, you're still in the process of getting a loan. It's not easy to get assisted living loans compared to typical multifamily. You're still getting insurance quotes, business insurance, real estate insurance, E&O insurance, workman's comp insurance. You're out there mystery shopping local competition. You're during this exact time, you're planting that seed to raise capital in order to close this deal, just like you would with a multifamily deal. We mystery shop all the other facilities in the area. And on top of that, we network with other facility owners in the area to figure out what's best practice, what marketing is working for them, what is not working for them. You got to come in with a mentality where it's competition, but it's not competition. There's plenty, what we talked about supply and demand earlier. There's not a lot of supply, there's a huge demand. So yes, there's competition, but if you have the right mindset, you can all grow together. Just like in the multifamily space. And so that was kind of what we dug into when we were researching all the bank accounts, all the insurances, everything that goes into the business part of it. And now fast forward, once we got all of that complete, then we started getting into the real estate portion of it, which is very, very similar to multifamily real estate. We walked every room, we walked every inch of this facility. We came there with a property inspector. We brought our handyman with us. We brought our licensed plumber who was a licensed city inspector. I met him because he was a city inspector on one of the other facilities that we purchased. He is now my master plumber. We brought our master electrician with us. We brought our sprinkler guy with us. We brought the guy who tests all of the fire hydrants, fire extinguishers, all of that kind of stuff. We brought a roofer with us. We got on the roof. We walked the entire roof. We checked out all the heating and AC units that are on the roof of this facility. We did a sewer inspection. We did a termite inspection, just like you would with multifamily real estate. And whenever we did our inspections, we tested the water temperature. We tested the temperatures of the AC, tested all the refrigerators and freezers. We looked at all of their inventory and how their operations, are they running efficiently? Where can we improve efficiency? And then we step back and we kind of look at this facility while we're doing our due diligence from an airplane point of view, from a 3,000 foot point of view, where can I add efficiency? Where can I add systems? Where can I add processes? Where can I do X, Y, or Z to make this facility run more efficiently, to make it better for the residents, to make it more profitable for our investors? What kind of video cameras do they have set up? With us, we like to use technology on our side. So we have video cameras in all of our facilities that every square inch of interior space is video camera other than bathrooms and bedrooms. And a little caveat, I did not know this earlier, but it totally makes sense. You can't have a video camera that points anywhere close to a bedroom door or a bathroom door for privacy reasons. Outside of our facility, 100% everything is video camera, because we're trying to alleviate the stress and not the responsibility, but we're trying to help the caregivers who work in our facility to be able to run a more efficient facility, because that keeps our operation costs down. But most importantly, it makes sure that we're keeping track of and keeping an eye on all of our residents who depend on us for the last final years of their life. They rely on us for food, for entertainment, for sleeping, for warmth, for heat, for cold, to keep them cool in the summer, keep them warm in the wintertime, to keep a comfortable bed under their back. And you got to come in with that mentality. We have gate sensors on all of our gates on the exterior of the property. We use iPads to our advantage, where every nurse, every caregiver gets an iPad. They can see the video cameras. They can keep an eye on all thermostats. They can keep an eye on absolutely everything. We have call systems. We have call buzzers so all the residents can buzz, whether it's through a necklace type of setup or it's through a wall type of setup, so that we can keep an eye, and if anything does happen to them and they fall down, they can pull the little chain on their necklace and we're notified right away. Um, we use walkie-talkies amongst all of our caregivers. Uh, we after reviewing the insurance policies on a current purchase, we then implemented a policy to alleviate a lot of future workman comp claims, where we have doctor visits, we have pamphlets, we have brochures, we have different things that we implement through education. So that way, if hypothetically a nurse scratches herself, it could be at our facility or not at our facility, she scratches her arm, it gets infected, she doesn't take care of it, then all of a sudden one of the other nurses, hey, you know what, you should file a workers' comp claim, you can get $50,000 for that. We've seen a history of that on some of the facilities that we've looked at. So we try to alleviate all of that through educational processes. So in general, that's what the due diligence process looks like. And I came in right under my goal was 6:30. We're at 6:27 Pacific time. But that's what the due diligence process looks like, with the business part of it, with the real estate part of it. Now, I ran through that pretty quick. In our mastermind, I ran through something very similar, but it was much more detailed. And just the little part that I went over for the last 20 minutes, we spent about an hour and a half to 2 hours on that, because it is a very, very important part of this business. Because once again, you're not only looking out for the residents of the property, you're looking out for your investors' return. Because this business, just like every other business, every other facet of real estate, this is real money. This is money that you are taking from investors. This is money that you're deploying into real estate. And these individuals rely on you to run not only a tight ship, but they want you to know this business and understand this business inside and out. They want to know that you're looking out for their best interest. And that's how we operate at Invest Now Capital. And that's how we approach every one of our investments, every one of our projects, not just assisted living. So with that being said, we are just under the wire. We've been in this for 60 minutes. What questions do we have from our audience? What questions do we have in the chat below? Anyone, feel free to speak up, and we'll go through the chat and see what questions we do have.
So let me go through the chat. One note on that workers' comp. I know Garrison mentioned it quite a few times, but in case you don't know, if you have a company and you have employees, that workers' compensation insurance can be pretty expensive. So if you have quite a few claims, like your workers' compensation may double. You know, it could be 30,000. But next year would be 60,000. So those numbers are critical when we underwrite, when we do the projection for our returns. And those claims don't fall off. And I believe it takes two years for it to fall off. So that's why it's important to look at all the workers' comp claims when you look at when you underwrite their business financials. And one of the things that you may want to look at, pay attention to beside a workers' comp is what kind of complaints, or what kind of so the LPA, I don't know what that stands for, but basically the DSS, the Department of Social Services, they come and they do an inspection annually, and if you have some violation, they're gonna write you up. And those claims you want to check those records as well to see, how did this facility done in the past few years. So those are the things that you may want to pay attention to when you do your due diligence when you buy a facilities.
And something else I wanted to mention in regards to due diligence, which I kind of glossed over, is calling zoning, making sure this property is zoned for exactly what your intended use is. Are you able to add beds, or are you not able to add beds? We've seen some facilities that we went and looked at where they were licensed for hypothetically 25 beds, but they have 27 or 28 residents there. Things of that sort, you want to double check, because you want to make sure you're paying for what you're exactly getting. And she mentioned the workman's comp claims. For example, we estimated that our workman's comp would cost us about $40,000 a year. We got quotes for $40,000 a year, and then 2 months later, we've been doing due diligence for almost 4 months. 2 months later, our insurance carrier came back and said, "Hey, insurance is going to be $100,000 a year, not $40,000 a year." So then we have to figure out a way to move forward or what that looks like. And that's how we figured out if we keep 49% of our current staff, we're not subjected to some of the previous insurance claims, which then technically saves us $60,000 a year. One of the other questions we have here in the chat below, yes, we'll send this recording out. Number one, what is the best way to fill up a new home? Marketing, advertising, networking. Just like anything else, website, SEO, network with other facilities, network with other hospitals, because a lot of hospitals refer people over to you. With the ALW program, if you're using government assistance, something that's interesting in this space versus multifamily, government assistance does not mean that you're poor. It's not a Section 8 type of program. We've met a lot of people. We've met several attorneys who can get almost anybody approved for government assistance when it comes to assisted living. A lot of the individuals are worth a couple $1 million, but they still qualify for the government programs. So take advantage of that. And, back to the question is, how do you market for those individuals? Once we're fully approved for the ALW program, people will be knocking down our door because there's a shortage of properties that are government subsidized, and that are government approved. It's a long process. So that's a great way to market. We also networked with other programs out there that may or may not be government assisted, and there are also placement agencies out there. So you really do a little bit of everything. But a big
Referrals,
Go
I
ahead.
would go to, if you're targeting like private pay, then I would go to the people who works directly with those residents, and they are like hospice nurse, right? There are nurses out there that go from house to house, so you want to network with those. The medical suppliers for those facility, they will know the facility inside out. So you want to, get in front of those people, those nurses, those staff, those supplier. And they are, of course, there are bigger facilities, like the VA. Also, they would also have people that they need to place. So reach out to the VA administrations to see if there are residents that they need a homes for. For us, we work with assisted living waiver program. There's something else here called PACE, which PACE, which is paid by insurance company, which is another great place to get people. So this is part of the market research that I talked about earlier. Is this once you identify the market that you want to target, and before you even open your home, you need to get all of this lined up to see how you're going to get resident. By the time you open, you already have people lined up that want to get in. And the one that are doing right, as we mentioned earlier, when we do mystery shopping, even though most of these facilities are full, they still willing to give us tours because they want people to get on the wait list. So when they have a room open up, they'll reach out to those folks right away. So you need to take that very seriously, those marketing and meeting people and give them tour of your facilities.
And one of the questions here is, whenever I was out mystery shopping, I probably visited over 100 facilities over the last 12, 18 months. And the question is, what is the biggest thing that we found that will differentiate us versus our quote unquote competition? The biggest thing is, I want to provide a place where I would like to live. I don't want to be serving Hot Pockets. I don't want people just sitting in front of a television. So everything that we're buying, nothing has that hospital feel. And there's a lot of other facilities that are very similar, but that is our angle. On top of the ALW program, I want to provide meals that I would want to eat. I don't want Hot Pockets. I don't want TV dinners. Yeah, if that's a snack every now and then, that's okay. When I was sitting here talking to Lizette, our Department of Social Services consultant, the biggest thing she talked about was meals. the biggest thing she talked about was getting involved in day programs where we have a vehicle service that will come pick up our residents, take them to a day center. They will have activities that gets them out of the house, that gets them networking with other individuals other than people that just live in this facility. And something else she really liked about our facility is we try to buy places that are walking distance and close to shopping. The facility I'm sitting at right now, you could walk out this gate and within one block, you could be at the dollar store, you could be at Walmart, you could be at 3 different Asian grocery stores, you could be at Home Depot, you could be at all these other restaurants and whatnot. And a lot of these individuals who come and live in these assisted living facilities, they're able to go walk and explore and enjoy their day, but maybe they need the socialization aspect of it, or they just need someone to look after them and make sure that they're taking their medicine. So you have all realms and all aspects of it, but the biggest differentiator is we want to provide places that we would want to live. I've called up facilities. We looked at a 124 bed facility in North Carolina, and I told this story to our mastermind where the seller was like, Garrison, you're lucky. Today's your lucky day. We have average price of a meal down to $2.79. What was it? $1.98. $1.98 a meal. And I'm like, I don't want to run a business where I'm concerned with every little penny to that aspect. So that's really what our biggest differentiator is. We're coming in from a business perspective, but we're really trying to do the right thing and create an environment that I would want to live in. I would want my mother to live in. I would want my grandmother to live in. I would want anyone that I know, I would feel comfortable with them sleeping in one of our beds in one of our facilities. Another question, since this is a real estate purchase as well as a business, will it work with a 1031 exchange? Evan Aronson wrote that. 100% yes. We are getting ready to raise capital. We will be raising capital on our newest purchase in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tomorrow. We'll be accepting 1031 exchanges. Just like any other real estate play, multifamily, whatever, if it works for that, it works for this. You get the bonus depreciation. You get all the tax advantages you would with multifamily real estate. You get a higher return on your capital. You get more cash flow, things of that sort. But all in all, the real estate apples equals apples. You get all the advantages and all the benefits and the 1031 exchanges, et cetera, that you would otherwise. With that being said,
I
I'm
think
going
there
to
are a
put
couple more questions. Let me see.
I'm going to put in the chat below anyone who is interested in investing into assisted living. I'm going to put it in the chat below, a link to our presentation, which is in 2 Thursdays from now. Or anyone who, even if you're not interested in investing, you just want to watch us raise capital, feel free to register with that link, hop on the call, and you'll see how we do it. Go ahead, Elsa. What's the next question?
So during your mystery shop, what were some of the most glaring ways you found to differentiate your properties versus others in the market? That's a really good question.
Answered that 2 minutes ago.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. Why's your camera off, Elsa?
I'm sorry.
How do you get accepted for ALW? From an owner's perspective, it is a ton of paperwork. Elsa, how difficult was it for the paperwork part of the ALW? And then
Honestly, I paid somebody to do it. The stack of paper.
it's about 80
Um,
pages that you got to fill out. And how much did it cost us to pay a consultant to fill that out?
How much did I pay her? I think I paid her $2,500. So time is money for me, and I don't want to do it wrong because it's, right now they are reviewing application that were submitted in September. So, they are almost a year behind. So I don't want to do anything wrong by saving just a couple $1,000s and then having to wait for months. So I paid somebody to do it, but they, once they review your application, I believe they come out and they do an inspection of your facility as well. And once they approve you, then you will keep getting people that then you don't have to go out and worry about finding private clients. Somebody asked what if they stop that program? That's a really good question. We actually just talked to the ALW, not representative, but someone who works in this program for a very long time. The state of California, um, they have a very big fund for this. And basically, the federal pays 50%, and the county where the ALW is approved pays 50%. And I believe this thing has been around for a very long time, and they renew it, I believe, every 5 years. So the last renewal, if I remember correctly, is approved until 2030. She says it's not going to go away. I think the fund that they have set aside for this is over $8 billion, 8 point something $billion. I can't remember the exact amount. And one of the perks of, living in California is that they really do take care of the poor people. So ALW is for people who are qualified for Medi-Cal, and that is a program for poor people. So I don't think it's going to go away, but if they do, as I mentioned, the demand is huge. We just have to work a little bit harder and go and get private clients to put in our facilities.
And another hedge against that angle is whenever we run our performer, whenever we run our numbers on a property, we make sure that this property cash flows. We make sure that this property makes sense with non-ALW, non-government subsidized programs. In case that program ever does get erased, even though we don't expect that to happen, you never know. So we make sure that it cash flows and works, whether we have it or we don't have it. Another question here, good question from Nonette Henry. Whenever you buy a facility, you transfer the license to the new owner or start over with a new license? I heard that the license is non-transferable. If that, let's see, if that's so, how long does it take to apply for a new license when there's existing business already? So one of the negotiating points that our attorney pointed out whenever I said we spent $9,400 with our attorney during the LOI and the contract phase of this was the old owner wanted to charge us $10,000 a month to utilize her license for the 2, 3, 4 months that it may take before our license is in place. We negotiated that down to $2,000 a month, if I'm not mistaken. But there's a transition period where we were working under her license until our license is in effect on that facility.
And a lot of time, I've known a few owners who bought facilities, and at that transition period, they actually allow you to use their license. The old owner will allow you to use their license without you having to pay them anything. We wanted this deal because the numbers are, great, and I don't want to lose a deal of a couple $1,000, so I'm willing to do that. But it will probably take 3 to 4 months. The facility that we had just licensed for, it took me about 3 months to get licensed from start to finish. So it doesn't take that long.
And Bob Ritchie asks, how do you find an experienced operator so you're not having to manage the residents? He found an opportunity where he needs to find an operator to come in and kind of operate it for him. Back whenever we were mystery shopping, I took down all the names and numbers of all the other owners, all the other facilities. So networking is a big thing, asking questions, finding other people who are in this space. And just like multifamily real estate, there are management companies and they charge different numbers and have different layouts for how they charge. Talk with a bunch of management companies, kind of get a feel for who you feel comfortable with, interview them, because it's really a partnership. Something that's different in regards to multifamily management and assisted living management is I fire property managers all the time. I don't trust property managers. I don't trust contractors. In the assisted living world, we signed a 1-year contract with the people with the team that is operating our facility, where it's not easy for us to exit. It's not easy for them to exit because there are so many licenses and admins in an account. So really just network. The particular management team that we brought in to manage our facilities, I went to a big assisted living conference. I made sure that everybody knew who I was in there. There's 300 or 400 people at that time. I stood up and made everyone clear that I was a real estate guy. I'm here for the numbers part of it. I can scale this business. I want to grow this business. That way, everybody wanted to talk to me because most of those individuals had nursing backgrounds. And a couple people from there reached out to me and told me that I need to meet this one certain person who was a speaker at this conference. And then we developed a friendship slash quote unquote, I don't want to use the word partnership, but anytime your management team is a partner, and that's how you have to view it. And there came a lot of face-to-face meetings with them. Actually, they were just here today. There's a lot of face-to-face meetings. There's a lot of getting familiar with one another. You got to really feel comfortable with that team because, in essence, it's a 12-month. Not saying they would force us into that if there was a big problem, but their license is at a stake, so they want to make sure that they're operating this thing how they should be operating it. But on the other side of that, we have our license to come in and be operators if need to be in an emergency type of situation. Right now, that is not our intent, but in a couple years from now, never know. We may be vertically integrated and operate everything on our own.
Yeah, but even when you have a management company, you cannot just leave the work to them 100% as an owner. You have KPI that you need to go over with the managers once a month, if not more than that, right? You want to go over the numbers with them to make sure that, because they have a budget that they will design for you. So if, you know, every year in January, they will have a big budget for that year. So we want to make sure that we are able to hit our number. And then you want to have meeting with them regularly to see the staff performance, right? You want to meet with them to see what are the complaints. So if the resident file a complaint, you know, maybe we do survey or something in a facility, somebody file a complaint, we want to address that with them as well. So it's not an absentee owner business. You still have to be on top of everything and work very closely with them to make sure that the facility is, you know, managing right and we're making the revenue that we supposed to be making.
And I don't know how to say this name. I'm going to say Lillian. I'm not sure. How do we invest? How do we see the deal available? I commented in the chat below. You're invited to a Zoom webinar August 15th, same time, 2 Thursdays from now. We'll be raising approximately $2 million on our next 44-bed facility. What other questions do we have here? A lot of good questions. I appreciate these. Anything else that we missed?
And if we miss anything, just turn on your phone and speak up because we may have overlooked your comment.
Yeah, feel free to speak up. So I think we hit all the questions. What is the best way to fill up a new home? Can you send us the recording? The recording will be sent to everyone, absolutely. And it will be on our Multifamily Masters YouTube channel, probably sometime tomorrow. But if you signed up for this, you'll get an email with the recording for sure. But I think that's all the questions. Anyone have anything else they would like to add? Anything they would like to comment on? And in a few minutes, I will hit the end record button. And then I will leave this channel open like we do every month so that you can network. You can get to know each other. You can exchange contact information, whatever that may look like.
Yeah. There was a question here if we are in California. Yes, we are. And every state has their own regulation. A lot of them I would imagine are similar from state to state. But yes, we are regulated here by the Department of Social Services. And we have a Bible. My friend Faye referred to it as the Bible for assisted living, Title 22. So yes, we are regulated. And every state, I would imagine, would have the same regulation. So if you live in New York, if you live in North Carolina, just do a simple Google search. You should be able to find it pretty quickly.
And Amato asked a question. When you buy an ALW business or an assisted living business, do you create or put it in a new LLC? My concern is if I put it in a new LLC, if there's unforeseen liabilities, in quotation marks, lien, a lien from the previous owner, your new LLC will not inherit them. So just like any real estate transaction, just like if you're going to buy a house, break it down very simple. Whenever you buy a house, whether it's seller financing, whether you're going out and getting a loan, whatever that may look like, you have a You pull lien reports on the property. You do everything through a licensed title company. You make sure all of your T's are crossed. You make sure all of your I's are dotted. And you got to do that, especially before any lender gets involved. They're going to make sure that that's a requirement anyway. But everything goes into a new LLC. And with this, just like our apartment buildings, there's multiple LLCs. The assisted living business is one LLC. The real estate is one different LLC. And the assisted living business rents the real estate from the real estate LLC. And then you kind of get to kind of play with the tax advantages, and you play with the cash flow a little bit. And long story short, you and you create a very profitable business that you can pay not a lot of taxes on if you structure it correctly. And we pay lawyers a lot of money to make sure that everything is structured correctly.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to mention here, which is very detailed, you may want to hire an attorney to review your purchase contract, because what we've learned is that in order for us to, that was a very good question about what if the owner had existing liens or insurance claims that we may inherit after we take over. On the purchase contract that we executed, there's a section on it that we actually withhold escrow, not us, but escrow will withhold a few $100,000 for 1 year, maybe 2 years, once we know that the business doesn't have any claim, and then we will return that money back to them. But we would hold that money in escrow for a period of time to protect us as the buyer. So that's the language that built into the contract. And one of the reasons we hire an attorney to review it, just to make sure that we have all of that aspect covered. And then you definitely want to create an LLC. We create 3 LLC to do this transaction, not just 2. One for the real estate, one for the business, and one is a parent LLC that owned the real estate and the business. So 3 LLC that created for this particular transaction.
And 3 LLCs equal 3 layers of protection in case there's ever a lawsuit involved. And that lawsuit could come from a resident, it could come from a caregiver, or it could come from someone just walking out front on your sidewalk who falls and slips on an icy day. You got to make sure you're covered from top to bottom, front to back. Very good point here. John threw his LinkedIn into the messages below. Anyone who wants to network, feel free to throw your LinkedIn. Feel free to throw where you're coming from. Feel free to throw your email address, your cell phone number, whatever the heck that may look like. Anything commercial real estate related, it's always good to network. It's always good to build your database. I tell all of our mastermind members, all of our coaching students, your number one responsibility is to build the world's largest database. You are as strong as your database and the people that you hang out with and the people that you network with. But much appreciated. I'm going to end the recording now. My name is Garrison Gilbert. This is Elsa Nguyen. We're investnowcapital.com. We do this once a month. Every month, we're going to start doing it twice a month. Amato asks, what is the minimum investment? Generally speaking, it is $50,000. Sometimes we do $100,000, but I think on this one, we're going to take $50,000 minimum. But we do this once a month, every month. We're going to start doing it twice a month. Our goal is to provide as much value, as much content. We want to create creative relationships, creative partnerships. We want to do deals with people. We want to raise capital from individuals. We want to create good partnerships. Her name is Elsa Nguyen. I'm Garrison Gilbert, and we are Invest Now Capital, and we are multifamilymasters.com. Much appreciated, everybody.